Today's top picks from Reuters Breakingviews: how to take the lies out of LIBOR, and as the euro steadies, it's safe havens that are beginning to look risky. With me is Robert Cole. Let's start with the euro and safe havens. 5 years, of course, to the day that this crisis.
One of the starting points and one of the ones that's been.
Well, it was the BNP suspensions, wasn't it? Of the funds.
Yeah.
All right. So that's our peg. But safe havens, bunds, treasuries, as things begin to, and you've picked on two, economic recovery and European policy-making flexibility, as we see a little bit of this, some of the riskier assets look good.
Well, absolutely. Let me say straight up front, this is a very early call. It's one which is tentative. It's not, put the mortgage on this one. But you have seen some quite noticeable shifts in investment markets over the last couple of weeks. The euro has rallied a bit and steadied at about 124 or so. US Treasuries and bunds, the yields on those have risen, suggesting that those assets are becoming a bit more risky. And we've seen some quite significant rises in equity values. I think it's important to recognise that there's an enormous range between the good and the bad.
You talk about an early call, but these gains in the equity markets have been going on for 3 months or 3 or 4 months now, haven't they?
There is definitely a trend being established. Now, it's not it's an early call because I don't know about you, but I like to invest over a period of years, if not decades, and 3 months is in that sort of timescale not very long. And of course, we do see a lot of volatility. So yes, there's been a rise over the last. Well, I don't think it's 3 months, but certainly 1 month.
Yeah.
And we think that might be sustained, but big wealth warning that comes with it, because it depends on
these two things.
Well,
economic health.
The Germans could
flexibility of policymaking.
Absolutely, the Germans could stamp on the ECB's apparent new willingness to be flexible, and we might get another new shock, which means that economic growth isn't as well set as perhaps it looks at the moment. I really don't think we should underestimate that risk. Particularly here in London, we're all distracted by the Olympics. Come the new term in September, that's going to be something we need to brace for. But let's be optimistic for a little bit.
Okay.
Anyway.
Martin Wheatley, the chief executive designate of the Financial Conduct Authority, is publishing a paper tomorrow on LIBOR.
Yeah.
And this is the government's review, isn't it, of LIBOR? What's it going to say, and what is Breakingviews' take on what needs to be done now?
Well, we don't know. We haven't seen the report, so we don't know what it's going to say. But what we think it should say is, I suppose the starting point is perhaps not that surprising, but to say, look, we need a transaction-based LIBOR benchmark, and we need to, but we need to also to reform it. Not replace it, because certainly in the short term, perhaps the medium term, LIBOR is just far too important a benchmark to sort of do away with. So we need to introduce, transaction-based pricing. Now, that's been suggested before, but what we do is go further and say, now let's find some ways of getting around some of the flaws in that. Now, the big flaw in a transaction-based pricing mechanism is that LIBOR has lots and lots of different benchmarks. And there may not be the trading going on that allows us to get to a transaction-based price, and that's the reason it's depended on opinions, which, as recent history has shown, has been friable. But what we think is that, for example, the 3-month benchmark is, in all but the most very extraordinary circumstances, going to have a price for it, and you can price stuff off that. We also think there needs to be a higher supervision, and that perhaps the BDA certainly needs to have greater control over it. The people who organise the LIBOR. So,
okay, all right. Well, we'll see tomorrow what this says. Robert, thanks a lot for that. Robert Cole. If you want to watch our US Breakingviews show, comes on every day, 12:30 Eastern, 17:30 BST. I'm Axel Threlfall. This is Reuters.